A baby's cry pierces the frozen night. Who will save them? The snow fell heavy and silent on Christmas night, 1887. The kind of snow that swallowed every sound and made the world feel paused in a frozen breath. Ethan Walker walked his land alone, a lantern swinging at his side, its warm glow carving narrow paths through the Wyoming darkness. He had taken this walk every evening for 6 long years. He checked the animals, locked the gates, and returned to a cabin that waited empty. The cold cut through his coat and turned his breath into white smoke. Tonight felt different, heavier, as if the land itself was holding a secret. As he neared the barn, his boots crunched through knee-deep snow. The door stood slightly open. Ethan slowed. He knew he had closed it before sundown. Wind could play tricks, he told himself. Maybe a deer forced its way inside. Still, his grip tightened around the lantern handle. Inside, frost glazed the wooden beams and stalls like thin glass. The horses shifted nervously, stamping and snorting. Then he heard it. A sound that did not belong in a barn. Weak, thin, a baby's cry. Ethan's heart slammed against his ribs. He raised the lantern and followed the sound upward, toward the hay loft. The ladder creaked beneath his weight as he climbed quickly but carefully. The cry came again, desperate and small. At the top, he swung the lantern wide. And the sight stole the breath from his lungs. A young woman lay curled in the loose hay. Her body was wrapped around an infant, shielding it with nothing but will. Their clothes were far too thin for the killing cold. Frost dusted the woman's dark hair. Her lips were pale, almost blue. The baby lay in a damp, worn blanket, too quiet, too still. They were freezing to death in his barn. God help us, Ethan whispered. He set the lantern down and moved fast. The woman did not respond when he touched her shoulder. Her skin felt like winter itself. The baby whimpered faintly, barely alive. There was no time for questions. Ethan pulled off his heavy coat and wrapped it around both of them. The woman weighed almost nothing in his arms, her body cold against his chest. He cradled the baby close and felt a faint flutter of a heartbeat. "Alive, you're alive," he murmured. Step by careful step, he descended the ladder, the woman's head resting against his shoulder. Outside, the cold sliced deep as he crossed the yard and pushed open the cabin door. The fire inside had burned down to glowing embers. Ethan laid them near the hearth and went to work. Kindling first. Then split logs. The fire caught, growing stronger, throwing heat and light across their pale faces. He worked with quiet focus. Warm water, never hot, to hands and feet. Blankets pulled from his own bed. The baby, a girl about 6 months old, was wrapped in wool and flannel and held close to his chest. Her tiny fingers slowly regained color as warmth returned. Near dawn, the woman stirred. Her eyes opened wide with sudden fear. "Please," she whispered, her voice raw. "Please don't hurt us." Ethan softened his voice. "You're safe. I found you in my barn. You were nearly frozen." Her eyes searched his arms. "My baby." "She's here," Ethan said gently. "She's warming up too." He helped her drink warm broth. Color slowly returned to her face. "My name is Clara," she said weakly. "Clara Hayes. This is Lily." They had been traveling west. A wagon train had left them behind when she fell sick. Outside, the first pale light of Christmas morning touched the snow. Inside, 2 fragile lives held on by mercy alone. Clara woke later to firelight and the smell of coffee. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then the memory rushed back. Lily slept peacefully beside her, bundled in blankets. Relief burned behind Clara's eyes. Ethan sat at the wooden table, watching quietly. In daylight, she saw him clearly, tall, weathered, with kindness etched into tired eyes. You can stay here, he said simply. Until you're strong enough to travel. However long that takes. I have nothing to pay you with, Clara said softly. I'm not asking for payment, Ethan replied. It's winter. You have a child. That's reason enough. Clara searched his face and found only honesty. Why? Because you need help, he said. And because it's Christmas. Days passed into a gentle rhythm. Clara grew stronger. Color returned to her cheeks. Lily laughed more each day, her eyes following light and movement. The cabin slowly changed, making room for them without a word being spoken. Ethan woke before dawn as always, tending the ranch. But now, when he returned, the cabin was no longer silent. There was the crackle of fire. A baby's soft sounds. And sometimes Clara humming quietly. Sounds that reached places in Ethan's heart he thought were sealed forever. One evening, Lily wouldn't settle. Without thinking, Ethan took her into his arms and hummed an old tune. She relaxed instantly, trusting him. Clara watched, tears in her eyes. She doesn't trust easily, she whispered. But she's calm with you. That night, Ethan lay awake listening to their breathing. The cabin felt full. And that frightened him more than the cold ever had. Winter storms came and went. They were snowed in together for days, their world reduced to firelight and warmth. Lily learned to sit up. Clara laughed with pure joy. Ethan found himself laughing too. But when spring was mentioned, silence fell between them. Clara spoke of leaving. Ethan spoke of nothing at all. One morning, Lily fell ill with a sudden fever. Fear erased everything else. They worked side by side through the night. When the fever finally broke, Clara collapsed in relief. I have nowhere else to go, she confessed. I stayed because I hoped. I wanted you to stay every day, Ethan said quietly. I was just afraid to ask. Dawn filled the cabin. Lily smiled between them, reaching for both. Later, Ethan stood before a closed door he hadn't opened in 6 years, the nursery. I want her to have it, he said. If you'll both stay, as family. Tears fell freely. Yes, Clara whispered. Spring came gently. They married in the cabin. Papers were signed. Lily Hayes became Lily Walker. That night, Ethan watched his family sleep, amazed at the life built from mercy and courage. Sometimes the greatest gifts arrive wrapped in snow and desperation. Sometimes family isn't born. It's chosen.